This drawing is great. This drawing showcases everything that this movie was supposed to be. I would let you see it, but then that means you won't listen to what I have to say. You would just be more interested in the drawing, even though that's what the original point of this video was supposed to be about. Talking about this drawing as a Godzilla review. It's supposed to be like that, but we're gonna focus on my drama, on my lines, rather than why this video was made in the first place. We're gonna completely throw out and disregard what the original review was about and tried to add really dumb human drama that no one cares about. So, everyone was saying how this movie was so great. And I walked in with high expectations, especially since the last American one didn't do so well. Well, Ferris Bueller's Day Off Part 2. And then how Cloverfield was mediocre. I thought America wasn't ever going to make a great monster movie. And then Pacific Rim came out. And holy shit. It wasn't necessarily a monster movie. Perhaps it was more sci-fi, but it was still giant robots beating the shit out of giant monsters. So I guess you could call it a monster movie, yeah. But how could this live up to the hype of that? No, it's God fucking Zilla. That's enough to have the hype train on a roll, going 80 miles per hour down the fucking freeway. Just put Godzilla on anything. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean this movie is bad, because it's not. It's not bad at all. In fact, it's fucking great. But there are some issues which I desperately have to address before you see this film. Okay. Number 1. Godzilla doesn't appear until an hour into the movie, and he only has about half an hour, maybe, of screen time. Yes, he's mentioned throughout the movie. He is. But for the first 30, 45 minutes or whatever, he's just referred to as a monster, seismic waves and all that. Until they finally all of a sudden, oh, we have a name for him. He's Godzilla. Oh, okay. Second of all, probably the hugest sin this movie pulled off is there's about 4 fights. You only see 1 out of the 4 fights, and the 1 fight lasts a minute. 1 minute. And what I mean is, basically what happens is whenever Godzilla is fighting with a MOTA, MOTA, or a massive organic unidentified normal whatever fucking thing, whenever that starts to happen, the camera pans away, so you can't see it. You can't see it at all, like me blocking the drawing. The whole intent of the movie is for Godzilla to be beating the shit out of monsters, and you can't even see that until the last fight, which lasts a minute long. It's badass, but it's only 2 moves, and it proves that Godzilla's fucking king. That's all it does. Godzilla is a side character. He's an extra in his own fucking movie. All he does is he beats down 3 monsters in less than 5 minutes. mean, the acting's not that bad, right? But in a movie where it's supposed to be about a giant fucking monster, you see everything that's wrong with it. Stale acting. I think the only good actor was Bryan Cranston and the Asian dude, which I think his name was Ken. But the rest was... It's just too much. It's too fucking much. I mean, with all movies, you have to have some plot to keep it going forward. You have to have some plot to know why Godzilla is facing these monsters. But it was all plot, and it all sucked. It's basically a generic... This movie's not a monster movie. It's a sci-fi film. Okay? It's a fucking sci-fi film. It has a generic sci-fi romantic love plot thing that's going on. It's horrible. This movie's storyline reminds me a lot of Avatar, where humankind tries to take something that isn't theirs and they get fucked up, so they try to make something else work for them. Only in this case, it works. But barely, because they have no idea what the fuck it is. And it's kind of... Okay, their idea for getting rid of the monsters that are infesting the place is fucking stupid. Okay, these motors right here, they feed off of radioactivity. Alright? And their plan, it's giving nothing away. If we're all ever seen a Godzilla movie, we know how it ends. The humans plan on driving a nuke out away from the land. They try to get rid of all three. They blow it up. But these things are fucking not only really massive, but they feed off of radioactivity. They feed off it. They send a radioactive bomb to the middle of the ocean to blow them up when they feed off that shit. That is worse than Sharknado. No, nothing can beat that. But that is along the lines of Sharknado type shit. Sending a missile into the middle of the tornado is the same exact thing as sending a missile out into the ocean, or radioactive beast can eat them, and who knows if it'll work. I mean, the rest of the movie is pretty good. It's pretty damn good. And it kept me entertained, and I thought it was worth my time and my money. But those things just made it so horrible. But it's one of those movies that I would definitely recommend seeing. But best monster movie of all time? No, Pacific Rim was way better. Pacific Rim is way more worth your money if you're into that stuff. If you're a Godzilla fan, I would recommend seeing this. And Godzilla does look fucking awesome. He's fucking badass. The Modas look awesome. The soldiers look fucking stupid in every scene they are in. Not because of their looks. It's because of how they act. And it's dumb shit. And it's good. It works in this movie because it's trying to be a monster movie, but unfortunately it's not. It's not. I can't let that walk away from it. It's a sci-fi flick with some major questions and plot holes that aren't explained, like, Godzilla gets electric powers somehow. They don't show how. I mean, I'm guessing it's supposed to be because these monsters feed off it, but they only said that about the Modas and not Godzilla himself. And they don't show how he gets, the fucking laser beams, but it's still fucking badass, I have to admit. I have to admit that it looked pretty cool, and I was pretty psyched when I saw him do that shit. But still, I would wait for it to come out on DVD. Um, so then you can watch it with your friends. I mean, the acting is about as good as you're gonna get in one of these movies, which is fun, but it won't stand the test of time necessarily. It's not as good as Godzilla, the original ones. Yeah. But in all retrospect, it is a good movie. It's wasted potential. They could have done so much, and they could have made it better than the original. They could have made this the best monster movie of all time. I just don't see what everyone else is seeing in this at all. And I hate to say that, because I wanted this movie to go somewhere. I wanted it to be number one for forever, but unfortunately, it's not going to be that way. Now, until they make a sequel, which it probably is, they probably are going to make a sequel because it's sold like crazy, and they set it up. They did set it up perfectly for a sequel. I just hope they do better. They don't focus so much on the plot, but they need to focus a lot more on the monsters, because it sucks how every single movie is trying to do a dark storyline, and it's been done over and over and beaten to death. It's a fucking dead dog. So just bury it. And none of these movies are trying for simplicity anymore. And simplicity works a long way. It does. But as far as I'm concerned, this movie, it gets a 7 out of 10 for me. It's a C. It's good, but it's not as good as it could be. So stay tuned. Next week, I will have Wolfenstein, the New Order review, and I'm planning on doing something, doing a video on Saturday that's not necessarily a review, but it's something. So, stay tuned. This is Knowledge Reviews, signing out. Peace.